What's up, guys? It's Techno Viking 23 coming to you today with a little bit of commentary about Anthem, and specifically we're going to be discussing the Anthem open demo that took place this weekend. It has come to an end. It is Sunday after 9 p.m. Eastern, so you can no longer access the beta or the demo to play Anthem. I keep calling it a beta because that's, I guess, what it seems like it should have been or was. I'm not sure. I have a lot of mixed feelings after this weekend. I spent a lot of time with the game. I played it both on PC and Xbox One X, and a lot of mixed feelings about this game. I was really enjoying it even through yesterday, and then today when they announced the open world event with the Storm and the Ash Titans coming out of the Firestorm and being there for everyone to fight in the open world. I was really excited to try that out, and then the game just had all kinds of issues all day for me on PC, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Some of you might have seen the video I posted about the adventures of the Headless Javelin, and that is one of the things I'm alluding to here, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So I obviously posted my first impressions after the first night I was able to play Anthem, and then I was going to actually post a video yesterday after the second day, which I took some time to get more into the story missions that were available and also the stronghold that was available for us to play as well. But I just never had time. I wound up playing Overwatch last night with my 6 stack, so I didn't have time to make my video. So I figured I'd just wait till today and post my overall impressions of the demo weekend for Anthem. So yesterday I got into the story missions a little bit. They were kind of interesting. They just let you play, I think, 2 of them, and it basically kind of felt like, I have to be honest, I have a huge sense of deja vu here with regards to Mass Effect Andromeda. This game really felt narratively a lot like what they had you do in Mass Effect Andromeda, except obviously you can fly around like you're in an Iron Man suit. That was really the main difference. The combat and the moveset feels very similar to Mass Effect Andromeda, and the way they kind of patterned the missions feels the same way, where it's like you get a little bit of narrative story, you go to point A, you pick up a few objects, you fix a machine, you trigger an event, you fight a bunch of enemies, etc., so on and so forth. You repeat this, then you return to the main hub to turn in the mission and get the narrative finish to it. That's a pattern that we played in Mass Effect Andromeda over and over and over again, and I have well over 100 hours in that game, so I was getting the exact same feeling when I was playing Anthem, when I was doing these so-called story missions for Matthias and going through the tomb and trying to get the manifold and everything. So I found that to be really interesting. There were even some of the same puzzles, like for example where you had to match the colors to the symbols on the wall when you were trying to unlock the manifold. There were different puzzles like that also in Mass Effect Andromeda whenever you were getting into some of the story missions in order to unlock and proceed to the next area. So I thought it was kind of interesting how they seem to follow that same skill set. I'm not sure if anyone else is getting that same vibe. I've seen a lot of people comparing this game to like Diablo and Warframe put together, a little bit of Destiny here and there, but honestly I really just can't get over the fact that this feels so much like Mass Effect Andromeda, and I wonder if that means a lot of people are going to be disappointed overall with the way the narrative works out. I'm still enjoying the game's mechanics for the most part. Flying is really fun in this game. Unfortunately, it feels like you're only doing it to traverse from point A to point B. It doesn't mix in very well with the actual combat, which is a shame. The combat, again, I just get this huge vibe that this is like Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer all over again, except you're in an open world setting. The movesets feel awfully the same. You're basically just using your powers and your abilities over and over and over again. It's just like you have an extended jump pack that allows you to fly and hover in the air. And otherwise, you have the same dash left and right and back and forth, the ability to jump and double jump with the jetpack. It feels very, very similar. I keep coming back to that, I know, but that's just the vibe I got from this game pretty much the entire time that I was playing it. I really enjoy, though, the customization you get with your Javelin, being able to, do the different paint jobs on it, interact with the different colors, and put the vinyls and everything on it. Lots of fun customization there, though I feel like a lot of that's going to unfortunately be locked behind microtransactions if EA gets their way, because that's pretty much what BioWare has said over and over again, is a lot of the customization is going to be behind the microtransactions within the game. So I think we're going to wind up seeing that with this, unfortunately. And like I said, flying around is fun, exploring the wide open world is pretty cool. I had a lot of fun doing that, and just getting into the combat and the world events that would pop up here and there. And so overall, it's a fun game. It's a game that gets pretty engaging when you get into it, and it's something I could see myself playing if not for a few little things that I'm really concerned with. And now we're going to kind of get into what I didn't really like about this weekend's demo, and just get into some of the problems I think they may have with Anthem going forward, especially if they don't clean up some of this stuff by release. The first thing I want to talk about is, I understand this is a demo and supposedly on an older build of the game. They've already said a lot of stuff is going to be changing about the game when they bring it forward. I'm not sure how much I believe that, because as we've seen with a lot of these AAA games in the last few years, you had Destiny, you had The Division, Destiny 2, where they basically said, here, we're going to do a demo / beta before the game comes out a couple weeks, and it turns out that absolutely nothing changes between that point and when the game launches. So at this point, with only about 3 weeks left till Anthem comes out, earlier than that, if you're on one of the early access programs through EA Origin or one of those things, I'm not sure how much time they have left to fix a lot of this stuff or change the game fundamentally to where they say it's going to be different than what you played in the demo. There's a lot of bugs they have to work out, especially on the PC. A lot of the things I noticed, enemies just randomly disappearing in the middle of battles. I was reading today that there were people fighting the Titans. They looked around forever to get it. They finally get to the guy, and they're halfway through the fight, and he just disappears. Lots of problems in that fashion there. In fact, I had the one today, I posted the video, where the entire last day of the demo, I'm trying to get in to do the world event, to experience that content, and I just kept having loading issues after loading issues. The loading screens are excruciatingly long, and then I spawn in, and my Javelin does not have any of its customization. It's missing its head completely. I can't do any of my moves. I can't use any of the powers. I'm missing my weapons that I had in the loadout, and it was just incredibly frustrating. I had these problems all day long, to the point I could not even play the world event and get onto the PC demo at all on Sunday. So I had to go and actually play it on my Xbox One X. I'd start all over again with my Ranger at level 10 and work my way up, which was cool because it allowed me to get another Javelin. I had unlocked the Interceptor on the PC, and then with Xbox One X, I actually used the Colossus and was trying to get a feel for the different Javelins. But still, by that point, I was kind of bored with it, and I was just so frustrated I couldn't get onto the PC and do the event fighting the Titans, that I was just kind of in a really bad mood about it all day long, and it left me with a real sour taste in my mouth about Anthem, BioWare, and EA going forward after this demo. So just a lot of bugs like that that I noticed in the game. The biggest problem is just the enemies, like I said, randomly vanishing. I also ran into a bug on the second night I was playing, where I finally reached level 12, I believe, which is where you get to pick your second Javelin. And it was after doing one of the strongholds, and it said, you've unlocked a new Javelin, you're level 13, here's all your items and stuff that you got in the mission. And then it went to the Fort Tarsus, and I went to the Forge to get the new Javelin, and it's like, there's no option to get the new Javelin. So I'm sitting there looking at it like, okay, it said I reached level 12, where's my Javelin that I get to choose now? What's going on with this? So I started walking around Fort Tarsus a little bit, thinking maybe there's something else I need to do for it. And I noticed in the corner, like, I checked my experience, it still had me as being at like level 11, almost to level 12, but not quite. When that's exactly where I had started the prior mission, and it should have counted that mission towards, what I did at the end there, and it actually even gave me the screen saying you've unlocked a new Javelin. So that was a pretty interesting bug to run into in the game, and I just ran another stronghold right after that. I reset the game, came back in and did it, and then it put me back at, I managed to get back to level 12 pretty easily and get the Interceptor. So it's just really odd bugs in the game. Doesn't seem like they've optimized it very well. There's also some performance issues with the PC if you're trying to run the game on some higher settings. Even if you have a pretty decent graphics card like a 1080 Ti or some of the newer graphics cards. I was reading an interesting article on PC Gamer today where they were talking about how this game is like, really, you can only play it on the max settings and get the best graphical experience and performance experience if you have like one of the new 2080s, which I think is kind of ridiculous. Now, I'm not running a crazy amazing rig, but I do have 1070 Ti with 8 gigabytes. I'm running a pretty high-end i5, got 32 gig of RAM. I got a pretty solid computer overall, and I was noticing some definite performance issues, some lag issues, and not being able to get my frames per second much up over 60 to 80. So just was having some issues with that, and that's something they've addressed where it's just, the game needs to be optimized a little bit better. But we'll see if that's something they can fix between now and when it's released. That's one of the reasons I actually enjoyed playing the game a little bit more on my Xbox One X, because the game was actually in 4K. It looked amazing. It looked just as good as it did on the PC, and it played a lot more smoothly, I guess is the only way I can really say it. The game just felt a lot more smooth. It didn't hang up as much. There wasn't really any graphical performance issues or frame drops like I had with the PC. So that was an interesting thing, and that's actually one of the things I was considering with Anthem. Is really none of my friends on PC are thinking about getting this game. So if I was going to get this game, it would probably be on console anyways, because I have more friends on console that are more inclined to get the game, and it seems like a game that if you get it, you're going to wind up having to play with friends quite a bit if you want to get the full value out of it. That's something I want to talk about here in just a second, actually. But yeah, just really annoying, some of the bugs, and like I said, at the end of the day, I couldn't even get on to play the world event. That was really disappointing for me on the PC. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I just mentioned you are probably going to need more friends to play this game with, is the way they do the difficulty scaling in this game. Now, I was able to do most of the content on the easy. I tried on the easy, did it on normal, and did it on the hard setting. Never got to a point where I wanted to go in and try the super higher level difficulties, and I'm not sure if you could even get gear to try to do those during this beta, because I surely wasn't getting that many good drops besides a couple of blues here and there. It seemed like on easy, that's going to be what they want people to solo the game on if you're going to play this as just yourself. I was able to solo the normal content as well, but when you go from normal to like the hard setting, even if you're in the open free roam, the difficulty just goes up astronomically. And if you're a solo player, it's going to be really tough for you to do that and to succeed. I found that the majority of the world events I try to do, because no one else would show up, it seems like this world is incredibly empty for being so big and supposedly holding so many people. But I noticed that it basically wound down to I'm just flying around in a circle, I'm stopping for a quick minute to hover and shoot a couple of guys and use a couple of powers trying to take down a couple of enemies, and then while the boss is just chasing me around, and I can't really even dent his shields because I'm too busy trying to shoot everybody else. When I try to focus on one enemy, I got swarmed by the other ones. So it just basically took a long time, and what it was is it's just the exact same content you've already played before. They just jack the difficulty way up. They make the boss a total bullet sponge and just make it to where your weapons aren't doing much damage to it. So it's the same exact concept and the same exact mechanics. It just takes longer and longer and longer and longer. So that's a concern if you're a solo player, especially because the unlocks you get and the weapon drops you get, the gear drops, everything that you need to make your javelin more powerful is tied into the difficulty of the game. So if you're playing it on easy, you're not going to get very good drops at all. If you're playing it on normal, you have a chance to get some better drops, but you're not going to get anything really much of a blue quality. And then if you get into the harder difficulties, that's when you start getting the really, really good weapon and item drops. And that's something they've said is going to basically be the way the game plays going forward. So it's not really conducive to solo play. And one of the things I'm worried about with this game is how the end game is going to work, because I was actually watching something on PC Gamer where they were talking about they got a chance to play with a level 30 javelin and play some of the end game content, and the guy basically was saying some of the same things I was just talking about, in that the content doesn't change. You're doing the exact same stuff again. He said there's some like legendary contracts you can get that basically have you going back out and doing some of the same open world missions or some of the same story type missions you did before. It's just that they jack the difficulty up on the enemies and they jack the difficulty up on the bosses. And he said they actually fought one of the same bosses that they had fought, in the demo, but it took like 15 minutes for them to beat it because it was just turned up so high in terms of its hit points and the fact that it could kill you in 2 or 3 hits. And it's basically like there's no difference in the content or the mechanics. They knew the patterns and everything. It just took them like 3 or 4 times longer to beat it. And I kind of got this feeling playing the Stronghold as well. You fought the big boss at the end. It just had a ton of health, and its mechanics are really pretty simple. The enemy AI is not that great, and it just boiled down to we just got to put a ton of damage into this thing and kill it, and just rinse and repeat. So I think that's going to be the real problem with Anthem, is what are you going to do for the end game? Toward the end of the weekend, I was already pretty bored of the playstyle. I mean, essentially go to point A, fight a bunch of enemies, go to point B, fight the same enemies. You've got really bland sounding and bland feeling weapons. With regard to your conventional weapons, like if you're using your shotgun or your sniper rifle or whatever, they just all sound very similar. They don't have a lot of punch to them in terms of the weapon sounds. This is actually one of the things I give Bungie and Destiny a lot of credit for, is their weapons are very well done. They're unique. They sound good. They feel good to shoot. You play a game like Warframe. One of the things that amazes me that DE does is you've got this awesome Warframe, which is similar to a Javelin in that you have the powers and everything that you can use, and each Warframe has different powers, but you've got hundreds of weapons in Warframe, and every single one of them has got some unique trait to it. It sounds different, it sounds good, it's got a lot of punch to it, it feels good to use, it's satisfying to shoot enemies with it, satisfying to watch the effects of that weapon on those enemies. I can't really say that for Anthem. Every weapon kind of felt the same. It didn't matter if I was using an assault rifle or a scout rifle or a heavy machine gun. Really the only time that it felt like anything cool was happening was when I was using my powers or using my ultimate. The weapons are just really bland, really boring here. There's not much to do there with that, so I don't think weapon drops are going to be a huge appeal to people, and this is supposed to be a game where you're getting loot drops to keep you playing and keep you enticed. So that was another complaint I kind of had, but I just really don't see where they're going to get much in-game out of this, and especially since we know the game is not launching with much in-game. I know there's one stronghold you could play in the demo. I believe when the game launches, it's only going to have another 2 or 3 additional strongholds, and I just don't see that being enough content to keep this game going once people, you know, reach that level 30 and they're finished with the campaign and everything. I just don't see how you're going to be able to keep going, repeating the exact same content over and over and over again, and that's kind of what it felt like toward the end of the demo, where it's basically like, how many more times am I gonna have to do this? You know, let me go into free play and let me fly around the map and see if I can find something different to do. Let me see if I can discover something. And by the end of the weekend, I'd pretty much gone through the entire map and discovered everything there was to discover. And I just kept having the same world events pop over and over again. You know, kill the scorpion nests. Oh, the scars are attacking again. Oh, it's the same thing, you know, rescue the sentinel from the scar attack. Just over and over and over again, the same exact thing. And so it just got incredibly boring, it got incredibly repetitive. And that's one of the things I was really worried about watching a lot of the, like, I guess, pre-demo streams and things they were doing the week before with the VIP demo was, it just looked like this was a game that you would get tired of really, really quickly, and a game that you would just get bored of. And just not be able to find too much of an incentive to play it anymore. So I'm going to be really interested to see how this game releases and see how much more content they're going to stick into it. We didn't get a huge look at the narrative story gameplay of Anthem, and that's something else that interests me, though. From what I've played so far, like I said before, I get a very heavy Mass Effect Andromeda vibe here, which could be a bad thing. So right now, my attitude with Anthem is kind of wait and see. We'll see what happens with this game, and it's definitely a game I'm interested in. I would love to pick up this game and have something that keeps my interest and takes me kind of away from Overwatch and Warframe for a little bit, because I'm kind of getting tired of playing older games. I want something new that I can be excited about. I want to get into a newer game that comes out, but so far just all the AAA releases, they're just, I don't know, so lackluster and such a letdown lately. And of course it's hard to trust BioWare and EA with some of their past practices and things. So I'm not sure, guys. Let me know if you guys took part in the demo this weekend. A lot of people I know who were thinking about doing it actually never wound up playing. I had a couple friends on PC who were all excited about it, and they didn't even show up the entire time. So I don't know how many people actually went through this. I think there were a lot of people on the last day because it seems like you couldn't get on because their servers were overloaded. We had a lot of problems all day long just trying to get into the game. So I don't know. Let me know how you guys feel. Let me know if you played the demo, keep calling it the beta, and what your thoughts were about it. Is this a game you're planning on getting? Are you going to pre-order it? I don't suggest pre-ordering it, that's for sure, but you know, some people still like to do that. And just let me know how you felt about the game overall. Personally, I think this is a wait and see, and I think this might be a game to maybe pick up on console because it doesn't seem very well optimized for the PC right now. And if you wait 2 or 3 weeks, you can probably pick it up for half price or on the used games pile at one of your game stores nearby. I'm guaranteeing this game will probably go on sale pretty quickly if most of BioWare's recent offerings are any indication. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope you found it informative and helped you to see a little bit about what Anthem was about this past weekend. That's going to do it for me. Hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you again next time.